What's going on, guys? Briar Rabbit here. Today, I've got two very controversial topics I want to talk about. First, the weekly update. We've had a couple of days now to digest all the information that came to us in the weekly update. And the second one is the recent Kotaku article, which claims that Destiny 2 has been delayed. So let's start off with the weekly update. The weekly update really either A, disappointed a lot of folks, or B, really pissed off a lot of people. The reason it was disappointing was because we had such a long delay, such a long time of basically radio silence from Bungie. They prepared us for this with a warning that, January was going to be light on news. They weren't going to do weekly updates. They were taking the month off for the holidays. And that's understandable. Everybody's allowed to, take a break during the holidays. But when they came back, they really didn't have much to say. We saw that the Crimson Days event will be around. This is going to be something similar to Festival of the Lost in scope, smaller than the Sparrow Racing League. Not a whole lot of content for a community that is really, frankly, starved for content right now. So it was disappointing in a lot of ways. It does seem a little bit cooler than the Festival of the Lost. There is going to be a multiplayer component of the game that should be a lot of fun. Doubles is a very fun way to play multiplayer in Destiny PvP. But still, a lot of people come to Destiny for the PvE, for the raids, for the strikes, for the story. A lot of people are not going to be happy with just a PvP addition to the game, especially one that only lasts for a week. In a game that is now seen its last real update, its last real DLC, about 4 months ago, which is a long time to wait. So there was some disappointment there. It just was not an overwhelming feel-good weekly update by any means. Also, we heard that Iron Banner was going to be switching to Rift. A lot of people really don't like Rift. Rift can be a funny thing. It's super fun to play if you have a team and you're winning a lot, but it's really not fun to play as a solo player. You often get put on teams where nobody's communicating. It's very hard to win that game type with people who aren't communicating. And it just makes Rift not a whole lot of fun. So to hear that to earn the Iron Banner gear, you're going to have to compete in Rift. For people who don't play a lot of PvP or play PvP solo, that's not good news. And the last thing we heard was that, yes, there had been a matchmaking update when the Sparrow Racing League was put out. They had readjusted the skill-based matchmaking, and this kind of came on the heels of the community realizing that this had happened, but representatives for Bungie saying, no, it hadn't happened. There were no new systems in place. The system hadn't been changed, but by all accounts, it had been changed. Suddenly, there was much more lag in the Crucible, and the matches were a lot sweatier. The matchmaking clearly had been adjusted to put people of similar skills together in matches at the expense of good connections. And we found out that this had been done in the weekly update after kind of hearing from Bungie representatives that it hadn't happened. And we felt lied to. And it angered us. If you listen to the Planet Destiny podcast this week, you can tell that we were pretty angry. It was just on the heels of the announcements. Emotions were running high. We were pretty heated about it. All of us were pretty heated about it. So we've had a few days to kind of relax a little bit about this, digest what happened. And we also got some new news. A Kotaku article came out claiming that Destiny 2 has been delayed. So we've all expected Destiny 2 to come out in September of 2016. Now, if Kotaku is to be believed about this, Destiny 2 has been delayed. So when you pull all this stuff together, right? When you look at the overall sentiment in the community that we're not getting enough content. By last year, we had already gotten The Dark Below at this time. We knew House of Wolves was coming. We didn't know how long it would take to get it. And then we knew there was going to be something big in September. So we had this roadmap that even when content was slow, even when the roadmap was, it was a little vague, we at least knew there was stuff coming. Right now, people are angry with Bungie because they love this game. They love playing this game, and they love playing this game with their friends. They've created clans. They've got friend groups who, play this game together. And frankly, it's their only interaction with that friend group, right? That's certainly the case with my clan. We play this game a lot. We play it together. The friend group was formed by playing Destiny. And now a lot of them have left, right? A lot of them kind of got their fill of the Taken King. There's a lot of new games out there. And we don't really anticipate a lot of them coming back, especially if there's no DLC coming out in year 2, not big DLC. And I think it's up to Bungie here to kind of reassure us that, we haven't spent the last year, forming these relationships that are just going to break apart. It's kind of the saddest part about this content gap is that, even after the Dark Below, when people weren't necessarily happy with the size and the scope of the Dark Below, the content that was in it, we knew that House of Wolves was coming. We didn't know there was no raid in House of Wolves. And even after that, we knew that Comet was coming, something that ended up turning into the Taken King. Right now, we don't have any information like that. We know there's a big ticket item coming. We don't know what that's going to be. It's somewhere between the size of Sparrow Racing League and the Taken King. That's a wide gap. It may be about the size of the Dark Below. We don't know. I'd like it to be a significant piece of DLC, but I can't honestly say that I know that one way or the other. I can tell you this. In the past, Kotaku has released articles claiming that creating content for Destiny is much, much harder than it should be. And that article seems to have been borne out by the fact that we're not getting a lot of content for Destiny. If you look at other games that have raids and are MMO kind of structured, you get a lot more content at a faster pace. This game, it seems like they had planned on doing that. It seemed like they had planned to release like a big release every 2 years, a main game every 2 years. Every other year have like a big Comet type release, something like the Taken King, and then have a couple of DLCs in between. So, some major stuff throughout the year to play. But it looks like creating that content last year was just too hard on Bungie. They just weren't prepared to get that much content out to us that quickly. And it showed. The Dark Below was not as good as one would hope. The House of Wolves content was definitely not as good as one would hope, especially on the heels of the Dark Below and the controversy that surrounded it. And the Taken King, I think, was really good, but one would hope that there'd be a lot more content for a yearly release like that. I really like the Taken King. I really like the raid. I really like the story. I like how there's more story inside the Taken King than we've ever seen in Destiny. And the story has much more personality. However, it's not enough content to last Destiny players for a year. It's not enough content to keep your raid group together for a year. So there's really kind of this promise out there from Bungie from year 1 that's just not being fulfilled in year 2. And if Destiny 2 is going to be delayed, if it is delayed past September 2016, who knows when it would come out at that point. It could come out in spring 2017 or September 2017. It's anybody's guess is as good as mine. Now, I caution anybody for taking that Kotaku article as fact. It's definitely a rumor mill kind of article. It's definitely going to be clickbait. A lot of people are looking at that article very skeptically, and I think that's wise. But right now, there's no reason to think it's not true. We haven't heard anything about Destiny's next DLC, and we certainly haven't heard anything out of Bungie about Destiny 2. So it's a rough time to be in love with Destiny right now. Yesterday in a tweet, I compared it to being in love with somebody who's bipolar. There's huge highs right now, or in the past, frankly, but there's also huge lows, and those lows can be really soul-crushing for somebody who loves playing this game. Lack of content, feeling like the community managers for this game are not being completely honest with you, or the people representing Bungie are not being completely honest, that is a legitimate concern for anybody in this community. It just doesn't give you the warm and fuzzies about the company as a whole. And getting these little tidbits of DLC, these little live events, it's not the stuff that we came to Destiny for. It'd be nice if it came in between big DLCs like we saw in year 1, but it's not enough to sustain a community for an entire year. It's just not. And if it's got to sustain the community even longer than a year, if Destiny 2 is going to come out in 2017 or later, it's just not enough to sustain that community. Now, I don't think that Destiny's going to die. I don't think we have any worry about that. Whenever Destiny 2 comes out, whether it's in spring of 2017 or beyond, I have total confidence that Bungie has learned a lot from the last year and a half of Destiny, and that they know what players want, and they are committed to making a big and expansive game. So whenever that game comes out, I fully predict that we're going to have a revived community. It's just the period of time between now and that game that has me very concerned. I just wonder if that community can kind of stand the test of time, if the same people that we all enjoy hanging out with now will still be around at that point, or we'll just kind of restart a brand new community. It's a concerning time. It's a weird time to kind of be focused on Destiny. We do have some big games coming out in the future. A lot of the Destiny player base is very excited about the Division, especially the PvE player base of Destiny. I know my raid group, we've already started talking about getting into the Division. Getting in there, playing PvE content with friends is super fun, and I can't wait to actually get into the Division. And that's not because I'm bored or sick of Destiny. The Division was on my radar well before the Destiny was, frankly. That E3 where the Division was first shown, it was my favorite thing at that E3. It just looked like an incredible game, so I'm really looking forward to that. But, Destiny has really become part of my life. It's become a thing that I really enjoy. And to see all this negativity because of the way it's being handled by Bungie, it's just not a fun feeling. It's not a great thing. So ultimately, I realize I've been going on a long time about this. I would just like to see more transparency out of Destiny here, out of Bungie. I'd like to know about the skill-based matchmaking changes they're going to make. If they're making changes to the Crucible, I'd like them to be straightforward and honest about them instead of hiding them, or not having good communication about those changes, because that just breeds mistrust and all sorts of other bad feelings. And as far as PvE goes, it's time for Bungie to put their cards on the table. Tell us what we should expect in year 2. Are we going to get DLC? I wouldn't expect to hear much out of Destiny 2, even if it is coming out in September, until E3, so I'd probably just kind of lay back on that. But it is definitely time to start hearing about what we can expect in year 2. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about all of this. I know I've been super rambling for this video, but I'd love to hear what you guys think about all this news, all these rumors, just about the general malaise that I think Destiny players are feeling right now. Hit me up in the comments. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.